Sam Altman, who is our newest devil incarnate from Tech Bro City, from Silicon Valley, is lying about the difference between the OpenAI contract with the Department of Defense and the Anthropic contract with the Department of Defense. And before I start, I'm not defending either of these companies. The key issue is that Anthropic has a pretty strong ethics department. They have an ethics team. They have not thrown that ethics team away. OpenAI, on the other hand, under Sam Altman, has completely disregarded ethics. That's why ChatGPT seems to be a lot more unethical than Anthropic than Claude. And that's why ChatGPT also has a lot more lawsuits about how people are using ChatGPT because they've thrown away the ethics department. There should be safeguards in place for ChatGPT to not act like someone's boyfriend, but they don't really care. I'm sure there's some breakthroughs that get through, but for the most part, if you see the people who complain about how their chatbots aren't acting like a boyfriend or girlfriend, whatever, it's usually Claude, because Claude will say, hey, X, Y, and Z, you can't do this. So the bottom line isn't whether or not this is like a contract. It's not whether or not these like agree to the same things. It's about what internally do they allow. So the key thing here, which Anthropic is fighting against and has canceled the contract over, is that they need a person, they need a human being in their decision making. Claude cannot be the decision maker in any type of anything. There must be a human there. That's what a lot of AI governance and ethics people argue for. We're like, listen, you can do this, but you need to have, you can use this product, but you need to have someone who is human to make the final decision, especially if you're talking about using it for weapons. So that is where Anthropic is like, this is where we draw the line. Is there a law that says you have to do that? Actually, not in America. I think the EU may have that in the EU Act, but in America, there is no law for how we can use AI in a weapons format. So what OpenAI is arguing is that part. It is not illegal to have automated decision making, so therefore it's okay if we keep that in our contract with the government. Our ethics department may not like it if we still had one, but we don't care. If it's legal, it's legal. And Sam Altman is being very disingenuous because he's trying to make it seem like a private company is trying to tell the government how to be the government. The government is free to do what the government does. The government will need to make its own programs to do that, or like they've done, find another company to pay for, like to actually do that for them. But that does not mean any company that works for the government has to follow the law and that's it. Every good company, and good as in just like a well-run company, not moral good, any well-run company will have a department and they have their own set policies, they have their own set standards. It does not matter what the law is, because the law is the floor. You got to go above that, especially in a world or the country like the US, where we don't really have that many, say, privacy policies. We don't have that many policies around technology and the use of technology. We don't have like a federal thing for it, mostly state-based. So you have to be a company who says, you know what, we know there isn't a law for this, but there may be a law for it in the future, but also ethically, we should have a law. We should have our own internal policy. So they're not disobeying the government. They're not claiming they are better than the government. They're just saying this is how we decided to run our company. Now they could do, when you are disobeying the government, is when you do less than what the law says. Like, oh, we're going to bring back slavery. That would be disobeying the law. Saying I'm going to go above and beyond the law is not disobeying the law. You have every right. Almost every contract says in there something about you will follow our policy and procedures as well as the law. That's just how it works. If the law was the only policies and procedures, there wouldn't be any policies and procedures. The other issue is surveillance, and that is like a whole nother thing. They're saying, OpenAI is saying that we will allow as much surveillance as the US government legally allows, which is a lot. The Patriot Act has pretty much destroyed any sense of privacy that we have had ever in our entire lives. U.S. privacy is so bad, and the government getting into our privacy is so bad that we have issues maintaining data sharing practices with the EU. So yes, you can say we're going to do as legally allowed, but what is legally allowed is like not good. So that is where Sam Altman and Anthropic are having this big disagreement about what is in this contract. So on paper, yes, they do have the same contract, but in reality, their internal policies are different, so they just can't do the same thing.